Welcome to Social Work Updates. In this video, we are going to talk about the casework process. In casework, the process of assisting follows the scientific problem-solving method. There are 7 steps to it. Number 1. Identification of the problem. Number 2. Data gathering. Number 3. Diagnostic assessment. Number 4. Planning the solution. Number 5. Implementation. Number 6. Evaluation. And number 7. Termination or continuation. Let's start with the first process. Identification of the presenting problem. During the intake process, the client's concern is recognized. It becomes the starting point for data collection. Without this indicated challenge, the worker will not know what information to look for or where to begin. What is intake? When a person seeks assistance from a social service agency or is recommended for assistance in resolving an issue, the assisting or casework process begins. This method is known as application in other organizations. At a hospital environment, it is referred to as admission. In a social work agency, it is referred to as intake. Second process is the data gathering. The intake seeks to accomplish 3 goals. Number 1. To collect preliminary identifying information on the client and his request. Number 2. Identifying the presented issue. And number 3. If the client's need can be satisfied by the agency, establish his presumptive eligibility. If not, refer it to another agency that can meet his need or solve his problem. Data gathering or fact finding is the activity of observing and categorizing facts and data obtained about the client and his condition. Following the intake, the worker will need to conduct additional interviews for this project. The worker will need to take the following data, which start with Number 1. The sources of information. The case study necessitates a more in-depth investigation of both the client's personality and his condition. Number 2. History taking. Taking a history is sometimes necessary. There are 2 kinds of these. The first is an initial history for diagnosis and focus. The second kind is history as a means of coping with a particular emotional or painful experience. Number 3. Nonverbal and verbal cues. The case worker also observes the client's overt and covert conduct. He listens and looks for both verbal and nonverbal signs. And number 4. The case study's contents. The case study is made up of the first paragraphs of the case record. This section, like the opening to a story, should include the 5 W's. Who refers on person, what refers on the issue, where and when, and why or how, the contributing factors or how the problem arose. The third process is the diagnostic assessment. After gathering sufficient information about the client and his problem, the caseworker conducts a diagnostic assessment, in which he determines the nature of the problem, its cause, what can be done about it, and the internal and external resources that will be required to resolve or alleviate the problem. Diagnostic assessment takes done in 2 ways. Number 1. As the worker listens to what the client says in each interview, he continuously tries to answer the 3 questions already posted. Like what the problem is, what appears to be contributing to the problem, and what can be done about it. And number 2. Every now and again, throughout the total, in order to answer these questions adequately in light of his total knowledge, the worker must review everything he knows about the person in situation arrangement. The fourth process in casework is the treatment planning. In casework, treatment planning refers to the worker's formulation of the type of assistance he will provide the client, the type of treatment or intervention he believes will be most beneficial to him. The case study and diagnostic assessment serve as the foundation for the plans. These 2 aspects are employed in 2 ways for planning. Number 1. As the foundations for identifying the general direction of treatment as well as the specifics of its early stages. And number 2. To act as a source of information to which the worker will refer from time to time during the therapy during his whole relationship with the client. There are 3 things the worker should perform. Number 1 is the treatment goals. The formulation of a goal is the first step in treatment planning. The ultimate goal refers to some form of advancement or enhancement. Changes in the client's personal life that are generally relevant to the issue at hand. Number 2 is the treatment objectives. The sub-goals that must be performed or attained in order to achieve the final goal are referred to as specific objectives. And number 3 is the social treatment. Treatment is the collection of all activities and services aimed at assisting an individual with a problem. It is concerned with alleviating or resolving the current problem that has been brought to the worker's attention, as well as changing problems and complications with the client's recognition and engagement. The following are the overall goals of social treatment. Number 1. To avoid social breakdown. Number 2. To conserve energy. Number 3. To re-establish social functioning. Number 4. To make life more comfortable or compensatory. Number 5. To provide possibilities for advancement and development. And number 6. To develop self-direction and social contribution capacity. The sixth process is the evaluation. The evaluation of treatment outcomes inevitably involves an evaluation of the agency, its resources, and its policies. The review should clearly illustrate whether its policies are realistic and whether its resources are adequate to achieve the objective for which it was established. Sometimes an organization is formed to carry out a lofty objective, but its resources fall short of its mission statement. The results of an agency's casework collectively will reveal whether or not it is adequately performing its mission sooner or later. Thus, case-by-case examination will eventually result in an agency evaluator. And the last but not the least is the process of continuation or termination. Continuation occurs if the periodic evaluation demonstrates that some improvement is being made or that a change is beginning to take place. Treatment should be continued. Otherwise, if the case is not advancing or going slowly, modifications in tactics or approaches may be required based on whether new knowledge or information has been collected or the worker has formed new insights into the case. The other helpful experts and workers involved in the case should participate in periodic or final evaluations. For a thorough evaluation of the case, a caseworker should meet with his supervisor or request a case conference. Termination occurs if the case's ultimate purpose has been met. The case may be closed. The process of discontinuing the helping relationship or concluding the case is referred to as termination. When the following conditions are met, such: Number 1. The agency's services have been completed, and the goal has been met. Number 2. There is no point in pursuing the case. Number 3. The customer wishes to discontinue the service. Number 4. The case has been referred to another agency, which will now be solely responsible for it, and the original worker will no longer be involved. Number 5. Either the worker or the customer is unable to continue, and the progress made justifies dismissal. And number 6. The worker leaves the agency and is offered another job, which requires him to delegate his caseload to other workers. In this circumstance, the case is not necessarily closed, only the client-worker connection is. And that's it. Thanks for watching. For more social work updates, please watch and like the video, hit the bell and subscribe to my YouTube channel.